Hey everyone, welcome to Christopher's Entertainment Blog. I'm your host Chris, and welcome to my review video for DC's Legends of Tomorrow Season 1, Episode 15, entitled Destiny. So this episode, guys, was awesome. I actually really enjoyed this episode personally. I thought it was a great episode. It was actually hard for me to nitpick negatives and even positives because I actually felt like this whole episode was one big positive for me personally. I really enjoyed it overall, and I didn't really find anything wrong with this episode personally for me. I did have a few outstanding positives that kind of shined over everything else, but my first positive was seeing Jax, the future Jax, back in 2016. He comes in, it's almost like a Back to the Future type thing going on. I like the fact that we had Jax get the help of the past Martin Stein from 2016 to actually help him, figure out how to get back to the future. Basically, I thought that was great. Another positive was this whole season, it's really starting to unfold. We only have one more episode now next week. We've really got to see Mick Rory and Leonard Snart evolve over this entire season. When the show first started, Mick Rory, Leonard Snart were criminals. I mean, on The Flash, I mean, they were notorious criminals. That's all they were. And seeing them on this show and evolve throughout this show, I think has been really awesome. I actually thought that Captain Cold and Heatwave actually had an agenda at one point. I mean, I felt like maybe they were going to have like a collaboration, maybe with Savage or something that, something that they would get out of this whole situation. But it's really showed that they have evolved big time throughout this entire season to go from criminals to now heroes. I mean, they're both heroes really now. You have Heat Wave that was being brainwashed by the Time Masters, and they were trying to get him to become Kronos again. And we almost thought that he was Kronos again, but it turned out in the end that before he said he focused on the hatred for the team to actually kill everybody, and now he actually focused on the team itself to being a part of the team. So I thought that was really cool, and he rejected the brainwashing. So I thought that was awesome. And then in the end, we see Heatwave going to sacrifice himself for Palmer. He jumped in his place. I mean, he was going to sacrifice himself to save the team. And then we have Captain Cold coming in there, knocking out Heatwave, taking his spot, and then ultimately sacrificing himself for the whole entire team to get out and get away. It really shows that they've evolved big time from criminals to actual superheroes, really. And it really comes down to, is Captain Cold really dead? Is he really gone? I mean, we actually didn't see his body disintegrate or anything like that. So it's still a possibility that maybe he jumped down into the vanishing point, or whatever. I mean, it's possible that he could have jumped down into there. It should be interesting to see what happens into next season, because Dominic Purcell and Wentworth Miller are actually redoing the Prison Break show. So it makes sense that they were going to now go off and do their own thing for a while. So I understand why probably they killed them, or they're going to kill them off. I wouldn't doubt that maybe Heatwave is probably going to die coming up in the next episode next week. I wouldn't be surprised. But I think that they might, there's a possibility, like maybe, I think there's maybe like a 40% chance that maybe Captain Cold will come back. Like maybe he jumped down into that time stream, or the vanishing point or whatever. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they come back. I mean, in all these types of superhero shows, I mean, these characters are not really ever dead. Usually they always find a way to have them come back. So it should be interesting to see where they go with that. I think it was a nice little Easter egg to hear about the Thanagarians. I think that's how you pronounce it. Those other alien race, which I found out this is actually the species or the race that actually the Hawk Girl and Hawkman come from. So I mean, I thought that was kind of interesting to see. Maybe that's going to be the big bad for season 2, that we'll have to deal with these Thanagarians that are actually going to attack and 2175, I think it was, or something. So that should be kind of cool to see another thing to see where they go with that situation, which I'm sure they'll probably go into that next season. That should be kind of cool. And last but not least, I really, really liked Savage again in this. It really, really shows from the last episode that I said it. I'll say it again. He is a master manipulator. It really showed again that not only did he manipulate the entire team to let him out and then get to the Time Masters, but now you find out that he's actually I actually believe he's completely manipulating the entire Time Masters to actually believe that he is going to unite the Earth or something against these Thanagarians or whatever. It really shows that he is a master manipulator, that he's using them to for his own gains, really. So that's another big positive for me. Was Vandal Savage again? He's just great. But I did have one negative. It was a kind of a nitpick negative. Was that the whole entire team was imprisoned, and they were imprisoned in the Vanishing Point, and in the end they actually end up getting out, and they're on the ship, and then they all decide, well, we have to go back. We have to go back, and we have to destroy um, this Oculus. So I mean, because that's like what is controlling the time stream or whatever. It's like the brain to the Wave Rider and all these ships and everything. That's how they know what's going on throughout time. But then they had to actually turn around, and I was like, well, they're just doing a complete 360. I mean, I wish they I felt like, well, they could. Too bad they couldn't have just destroyed it while they were there instead of going around in a circle. I mean, I thought that was kind of ridiculous. But other than that, I mean, even though they did that, I mean, it didn't really bother me in the end. Overall, I really, really enjoyed this episode, and so much stuff that was happening in this episode that we find out that Rip's family was killed again by Savage, and he can't do anything about it. It just seems like it's inevitable that no matter what he does, that's exactly what happens each and every time. So it should be interesting to see what more they do with that. I mean, Savage has got Hawkman and Hawkgirl. I mean, what's he going to do with them? So a lot of interesting things happening. Um, but yeah, guys, so much stuff happening in this episode. I know I probably missed something, but if there's anything that you guys want to talk about that you really liked about this episode, or anything you didn't like about this episode, please write in the comments below. But that will do it for me for this week for another review video for DC's Legends of Tomorrow. I will see you guys next week. Until then, take it easy.